Hello everyone, welcome to IQ Chess. In today's video, we will be looking at a crazy looking gambit called as the SPASSKY Gambit against one d4 players. This comes out of the Polish defense which begins with d4 and here black opens the game with the move b5. This move in particular is simply looking forward to fianchettoing the bishop on the long diagonal whilst also preventing anything to come from c4. So, in today's video, the first part we will look at the move e4, where white just occupies the whole center and attacks our pawn. Later on, we will also look at what to do if white plays the move c4 or something else. e4. Here, we are going to ignore the threat on our pawn and just play bishop to b7, fianchettoing our bishop and attacking white's pawn in the center. If bishop captures on b5, we take back the central pawn. We are threatening the g2 pawn now and there are only two logical moves to play. Knight to f3 or the move f3. First, let's look at knight to f3. Here, we will just play knight to f6. There is no threat on our bishop, so we can just hang in the center. White usually castles, and here we play the move g6, preparing to fianchetto the kingside bishop. Black can play the move c4, occupying the whole center. We fianchetto, and if black attacks our bishop, we have two choices. We can either take the knight on f3 or just return back home to b7, and I recommend coming back because giving up a bishop early on is not really recommended, considering this trade is not really beneficial because white just takes the pawn, takes the bishop and attacks our rook. So here, rook to e1, just a normal developing move, centralizing the rook. We can just castle, white develops, and here we play the move d6. The point of d6 is to just put a knight on d7 and just expand on the queen side. It might look something like rook c1 and d7. We reach this position. I'm leaving here with because after this point the play might continue in various paths. Officially, the opening has concluded. All the pieces are developed. This is kind of like a King's Indian style position. You can try to go for c5 or e5 breaks later on. This bishop on the long diagonal will put some pressure on the king side. You can also play on the queen side with moves such as a6, c6, rook to b1, attacking along the b5. So overall, this must be an interesting way to play. Now, let's come back. What if black plays the move f3 here? Here, there's a super tricky move that you have to know. We in this position, of course, we can retreat back to b7. However, I prefer the move bishop c6. Trading here is not really sensible for white because after the trade occurs, we can just recapture. Now we have a piece developed before white. We can just play to f6, e6, put our bishop out anywhere, d6, castle on the king side, and play on the queen side with rook and pawn. So that basically sums up the variation after captures. But most of your opponents would not capture. So they might go to b3, which looks the most natural. Here, we take the whole center d5. Black really cannot develop the knight to f3, so black plays knight to e2. We play knight f6, black castles. We play e6, opening this bishop up. Knight c3, bishop to d6, bishop to g5, and just castles. In these positions, there's something to remember. This bishop does not have a guard once this knight moves. So when your bishop is attacked, always remember to come back to either d7 or to b7. So that basically sums up this variation. And actually, believe it or not, this is the most common variation at this point online, and we are already better. Black already is better. It has a computer advantage of around 0.08, which is not really relevant. However, yeah, but we are better. That's good. Now, let's come all the way back here. After bishop takes on b5. This is what happens if bishop takes and bishop takes on e4 occurs on the board. However, black can also decline that gambit and play something like bishop to d3, just defending the pawn. Here, we just continue with our development with knight to f6, putting more pressure on the central. Pushing the pawn does not make sense for white because remember that g2 is hanging. So black has to play something like f6 to prevent that. Here we play e6, opening our dark square bishop up. Knight to e2 is one of the most common moves in this position, and we play a6, preemptively defending our pawn. Bishop to f4 is played, and here a super important move, c5. This basically kickstarts a queenside expansion. If black takes us, it's simple, we recapture and we castle. If black simply plays something like c6 or knight to d2, let's say c6, we apply more pressure with knight to c6. Now this pawn is really under a lot of fire, and white should be really accurate. Let's say castles, at any good moment we can capture or even push the pawn, taking a lot of queenside space, restricting black or white on this entire area, should I say, and focus our play on the king side. Because once the queen side has been locked, it's really hard for these pieces to take part in the king side defense, and we can just focus on playing on the king side. So that sums up the variation where white goes for bishop to d3 defending the pawn. Also remember, a lot of your beginner opponents might play the move knight to c3 defending the pawn and basically lose on the spot because b4 is being played. This knight is under attack, it has to move, and you just win a pawn on the fourth move. Like winning a pawn on the fourth move against one d4. So that's really good. Now let's also come back. If white does not even play the move e4, we can't really play the SPASSKY gambit. We saw the same thing now. It might happen with c4, where white just plays the move c4 anyways. Here it's quite simple. We just capture, and after white plays the move e4, taking the whole center, we again go for the bishop d7 idea, because remember, if black takes, this pawn is hanging, so it's not really that different anymore, and we can play moves like d5 and undermine the center and defend our pawn. Knight to f6, e6, put the knight on d7. This bishop can go out to either b4 or to e7. So that basically sums up this variation. So that is basically it for this video, guys. There aren't much more things to look at. Of course, white can also play something like knight to f3, but this is the same thing. Just develop, put your bishop on the long diagonal, play a6, e6, put the other bishop out, d4 or d6, bring your knight out, and it should be a good game from there. So if you want to learn any new openings such as this one, comment it down below. I'll definitely make a video. Meanwhile, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to like and subscribe to my channel. It really helps me going. We are almost on 170 subscribers. Just a small stretch, we can reach 200. So thank you for your extended support. I will see you guys soon. Till then, stay tuned.